Hello, friends. You know, on my way to the post office each day, I pass a cornfield as I'm driving along. This is what it used to look like. You know, it was plowed up good. It would get washed on, but now I'm facing the same thing so many people do with this field, and that's no-till farming. So it's pretty rough looking these days. You know, it's mostly just corn stubble and weeds. It's only worth looking at about once or twice a year after the winter snows and rains come. But I stopped today for about an hour and a half, and I did come across something in about the first 20-25 minutes, and I was happy to find anything. It's a nice little late archaic triangle point, most likely the squib-knocket variety as we call it here. And it's made out of felsite with phenocrysts in it. Good little point, a little damage to one ear, but I was happy to find it. Here's another view of it as it's resting there on the ground after sitting there all winter. And, you know, I like it. I really do. So that was good. I felt, well, you know, it was worth the stop. But I had a little more time, so I headed on back down, walking between the weeds and the stubble. Here you can see the kind of stubble, and I see a little heartbreaker in there. You see it hiding up there next to the stubble. Nice translucent quartz piece. It would have been a happy piece if it were whole, but I get happy even with the broken ones these days. Nothing like it. So anyhow, I took care of that one, gave it a warm resting place, and headed on back down. But here's a close-up view of it. Let you take just a minute to see this particular point. It's interesting basal treatment. And then as I continued on along, you know, I said, well, gee, that's pretty good for this field, 1.5 points. And what do you know? What do you know? What is that? Well, another little late archaic triangle. Again, made out of felsite, but a nice little point. A happy little point. And he's happy to have a warm resting place for a while. So here's another view of it as it's lying there in the dirt, close up, get a better view of it. So I felt pretty good, I really did, after waiting the winter really to get out and look at this spot. And I only did maybe about 30% of the field, so I may get back out there and look again before the corn gets planted. You know, this is just the first day of March, March 1st. So that's a good way to start the month. The shadows were getting long. Was all the time I had, so I headed on home. Now, after I got home, I spread everything out for you to take a look at. You see the points, some chips and flakes of different felsites. We have a quartz core here, nice quartz core. This is a good material they were using for making tools. And then this was kind of interesting. This next thing I'm going to pick up for you to look at. Every now and then you find something like this, and you have to take a close look at it. I think this is a little hand anvil. You see how it's scooped out there in the center? Be a perfect little implement for grinding seeds or herbs or even medicinals by early man. But it's a nice piece, fits in the hand really well. Nice little scooped out area, as you can see. And then I wanted to give you just a couple more minutes to get a closer look at these pieces that I found today. Here again is the broken quartz point. But you can see it's a nice material. And then just behind that is the first little triangle point. Get a better look at it. Well, actually, this is the last point I found, but you can see pretty well here the flaking, how it was manufactured. It's a good little point, nice and thin. Good example This is what we call marblehead felsite. It's the black felsite with the white phenocrysts in it. And then finally, this was that first little point I found with the damaged ear, but again, it's a nice little thin point, very delicate ears. You can see why it would easily lose one of them, but get a nice look at the remaining ear on this last photo. You can see what a good little point this was. Every one of them tells a great story. It's something to think about. You know, all the people that came before us on the landscape, what they were able to accomplish with Stone Age implements. Well, I guess that's about it for today. Thanks for watching. So long, friends.